How unprofitable companies stay in business, the rise of zombie firms.
Listed companies are taking on debts that they probably can't repay.
Pog!
Economists call these unviable companies zombie firms. Zombie firms are a growing problem around the world.
You say Atrioc LLC? You think Atrioc LLC is a zombie firm? I have zero overhead, zero debt.
Banks and governments keep zombie firms alive when they bail out unviable businesses. The Fed's swift interest rate hikes are making long-suspected zombie firms go bankrupt. As these rates rise, it's becoming more expensive to do a lot of...
I am in favor of Jerome Powell's recent raising of interest rates. I'm impressed that he got it done, and I think it's overall long-term healthier that we get it there. But I found out recently that he's worth $100 million. And it's like, he's just in the wrong class of wealth to know how this is gonna impact regular people. That's just too much money for the fucking head of the Federal Reserve to make.
As these rates rise, it's becoming more expensive to do a lot of things, including operating a business. The Fed doesn't see zombie firms as a problem in the United States. At least not yet. Is the US financial system propping up zombie firms? And how many are left after the pandemic?
Yes, and lots is the answer.
Zombie firms are failing businesses that managed to stay open for years due to cheap credit.
There's so many startup tech companies that were actually only able to survive because of cheap debt and investor money. It's not just old firms. Old firms and newer, there's tons of zombies. Tesla is not an example, actually. Tesla is a company that has very low debt.
As many as 40% of publicly listed US companies are actually unviable.
Yikes.
Zombie firms can appear in any sector where debt
I hope
is
that's
involved.
not true.
Like real estate,
That would be
energy.
catastrophic.
When compared to their peers, zombie firms are smaller in size, have lower returns on assets, hold less cash, and have lower investment opportunities than their non-zombie counterparts. Those weak financials set zombies up for failure if they can't find a new creditor to bridge the gap. That's
You guys want to pitch in?
20...
If we all put our money together, we can help bail out a single zombie firm. Give them a few more years of wasting everybody's time. Phase? Yeah, Phase. Phase is a great example, bro.
516 corporations have filed for bankruptcy through September. That's a huge surge from recent levels.
Companies that used to borrow at zero to invest or grow their business are now paying in some cases upwards of 9 and 10%. So if your cost of doing business goes way up and your sales are growing way less than they used to, that's a huge problem that's making a lot of businesses simply not profitable.
By the way, this is a good thing. In the short term, it does cause some pain, but it is a good thing that fucking businesses that make no sense and waste money go out of business. The problem is we've allowed so many of them to build up for so long that it's going to be so fucking painful because we've had zero interest rates for so long, so you could just keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, and we kept printing money and printing money. So I love how many ads Snoop Dogg is doing after getting fucked by FaZe. I can promise you getting fucked by FaZe did not factor into that. Snoop Dogg just loves doing ads, bro. He did not lose a bunch of money on FaZe, bro. They gave him stock and then it was worthless, so he quit. Yeah, the thing about Snoop Dogg and Shaq, and they've done so many ads that people like it. Nobody calls them a sellout for doing a lot of ads. So if you get to that situation where it's like fine, or everyone's kind of chill with it, you should do as many as you possibly can because it's fucking free money. Is Twitch a zombie company? Twitch is owned entirely by Amazon, which is not a zombie company.
It was very important during the pandemic that governments stepped up. One of the unintended effects could be that the support was initially mostly untargeted. So if it's not well calibrated, it might have kept pre-pandemic zombie firms alive for longer.
Companies take a lot longer to achieve profitability than a lot of people had hoped. There are
What?
people like Sheila Bair, the former head of the FDIC, who think that these bankruptcies are what we need to get back to a healthy economy.
But once we do get to the other side, it's going to be better for the economy.
There are some
I agree with
firms
that.
actually really
I don't
should no
agree it's going to
longer
be
exist.
soft.
Japan was an early example of this concern that zombie firms could cause a lost decade of economic growth. And it's not out of the question that we could face a similar problem today.
The share of zombie firms in Japan shot up after 1994, and a decade of slow growth followed.
Love that.
Well, what's happening with the U.S. banks now? They have big losses on their portfolios while they're hoping that they can continue to make a nice spread on interest rates. It's not so much a question of earnings season right now and whether the banks can get through it. It's really a question of how much capital do the banks really have to lend into the economy over the next decade? And if they don't have as much as we previously thought, there's a risk that for the broader economy we experience a lost decade here too.
Not here in America, baby.
Economists say key U.S. industries like airlines and autos appear to operate on high debt and potentially an expectation of government bailouts.
What's happening now is that even if the economy weakens substantially, the government is constrained. It can't borrow.
It is funny because like right now, you'll see that if bad news comes out about the economy, like a bad jobs report, you'll see stocks actually rise on the expectation that the government is going to break and have to start bailing things out. Like bad news becomes good news because people are like, oh yeah, surely we're at the point where fucking they have to start doing bailouts.
Even in the face of growing debt nationwide, some investors see this economy as unusually resilient.
I don't think the parallel with Japan holds at all. The supply side of the economy continues to sort of grow a little bit. You're bringing more supply to the labor market. You're taking down pressure on wages. The other difference is that we went through a massive shock in 2008. A lot of things have been put in place to reduce the risk of financial instability.
Not a big truster of Goldman Sachs. An unrelated Goldman Sachs story. Goldman Sachs is one of the biggest investment banks in the world, and they do a lot of big mergers and acquisitions. And the CEO of Goldman Sachs is a part-time DJ. And he loved DJing so much and he kept doing it, but everyone started making fun of him for it, that it started to truly affect his work. Like because as Goldman Sachs has gone through some rough times recently, everyone's been like really harping on the DJ stuff, so he finally had to quit. He had to quit his love of DJing because he had to be like, no, I'm done DJing. I haven't DJed in a long time. I'm actually not a DJ. Yeah, David Solomon. Why not just quit his banking job? Surely he makes enough, bro. You could say that about like every fucking rich person in all of society. Why don't they just quit and have fun? I don't know what to tell you, dude.
We've covered a lot of ground, and the full effects of our tightening have yet to be felt.
The biggest implication of the rapid rise in interest rates that we've seen is that reintroduced the value proposition of cash as an asset class, and that actually, puts some constraints on risk assets.
I think we're only just beginning
cash
to see
no longer
the toll
trash
that high rates are taking. If rates stay where they are, it's going to reshape business, banks, and the U.S. economy as we know it.
In a good way. Dude, I pray they can hold it higher for longer. I know they won't. They're going to fucking cave. They're going to fucking cave and chop that shit down to zero and bring in fucking yield curve control, and they're going to fucking start printing money again. But if they can hold it, man, we could actually have a real fucking economy where savers are rewarded and people can fucking not lose the value of their dollar constantly. And there's innovative companies and there's fucking... Oh, it'd be so nice if they could hold it.
Maybe the firm was like potentially promising, but it never paid off. And I don't want to recognize that I, the investor or the bank, I was wrong. And that's human behavior.
USA. Interesting video. I liked it. Carlos Waters and his team at the CNBC business section or whatever, they've been making a pretty good couple of short documentaries. They're nice.
Agent 47 with that AK-47, Brandon's age is 40.